Hello again. We are back with another bike restoration. This is a GT Avalanche. This is like a 2014 model, something like that. And this presents some new opportunities to learn some things. Let's just say that. So the story behind how I found this, this was just sitting by my dumpster the day after I brought that red Pathfinder home. I suddenly went from 4 bikes to 6 bikes and 2 big restoration projects to get started on kind of at the same time. Yeah, this is a GT. Never worked on a GT. This is a modern mountain bike style. And this is actually a small, come on, girls' bike. New for me for learning hydraulics, disc brakes, and shocks. These are Sun Tour XCT, which are probably pretty cheap shocks, but they are completely seized. So that will be a full tear down and rebuild. The shifters are Shimano Altus and they work. So I could basically just clean them and they'll be fine. Maybe check on the lube in case it's like been baked out, but they seem to work. Brakes are hydraulic disc brakes. They are the Cypher brand, and I don't know much about them, but they don't feel right, and basically the main problem is that they don't spring back. So to me, that's telling me that there's not enough fluid, and so at least it needs to be topped up. But if I'm learning disc brakes and hydraulics, let's just tear it all down, get a set of, well, whatever tools are required from that. May as well. The derailleur is a Alvia, I think it is, Alvio, something like that. The chain looks like it's never been oiled, so that's great. But like no visible damage. This torque disc is severely yellowed, but I'll just remove it. You can see kind of the attention to detail building this. They didn't even take the sticker off. So this bike has minimal use, looks like. Like there's no dirt in anything, but it looks like it's been sitting out maybe on a balcony or something for, like I said, this is just found by the dumpster. I'm gonna do another check to make sure it's not stolen or reported stolen. Otherwise, I'll get started on fixing this. All right, I'm going to start off with the pedal. Oh, well, that was easy. Unlike that last one. There we go. It's like the rustiest brand new chain I've ever seen. I would normally put degreaser on that, but in this case, it's dry. So, and it's not even dirty. It's just rust. So we'll see what we could do. So this is a newer chain and worse condition chain than the last one that was almost no issue at all to restore. This one, it went in WD-40. It went into soapy water, it went into vinegar. I scrubbed between each time, and it is still, you know, dark brown and crusty. So that is not good enough. I will plan to buy a new chain for this bike. This bike is quick releases, at least. Very quick release. I wasn't ready for that. The derailleur doesn't look too bad. There's like a tiny amount of dirt here. I think it's just discolored from the rusty chain being on it. But I mean, it's moving, so I don't want to take that off if I don't have to. feel like pretty nice wheels, to be honest. So the issue of the shocks is they're completely seized. These seals are bad, I can see. And there's rust there. These things don't seem to do anything. I believe this requires a special tool. So it'll be a whole thing to get that apart. But I don't think there's any other option. I'm just going to start cleaning with some soapy water now. Obviously, the quick way would be to use a hose, but I'm not going to use a hose in the apartment. I shouldn't even be doing this. Honestly, just like getting the dust off, it makes it look like 90% better. I just taken off this sticker with WD-40 to kind of dissolve the glue and paper. It seems like it's just a paper sticker. And I'm just scratching it off with a bit of popsicle stick as a scraper. I don't have a plastic scraper near on hand, but this is working okay. You can kind of rub it in. And this shouldn't scratch the paint. I'm going to disconnect the brake pads on the front and attach them to the handlebars with a zip tie. All right, I'm gonna take a peek in this brake lever reservoir. Get something to pick this lid off. Okay, I've seen this kind before online. Here's actually, well, I guess I was gonna say I could see oil in here, but because the brake lines are up here, you know, that kind of throws off the levels. But so I'm gonna clean off whatever that is. All right, so I just polished up these screws and inside and out of this. Not really polished, but got rid of the texture, I guess. I forgot to do this. I'll do that next. But these other pieces, they're good to go. I'm not going to replace all the cables here. I'm just taking off the derailleur. I'm definitely not disassembling this. But I just want to have the chance to clean inside, kind of. Taking this off, I noticed that it was turning very slowly, and I wasn't sure if that's the threads or if this is just lacking some lubricant. I think it's the latter. Lubing up the cable. This end, some getting on the carpet, it's fine. So you want as little friction as possible in these tubes. Just doing the same at the shifter. Really, I can hear it. It's easier when this is all new. Oh, it's already so much better. This is a sealed bottom bracket, I assume, but I think it's probably worth checking anyways. Well, it'll be easy to clean these bolts if they're off of. Not too bad. I should lube this before it goes in. That's what she said. It's going. It's going. Okay. All right. It's not too bad. I think it's worse than the last crank that I cleaned, but I think it's just surface rust and it'll be fine. It's dirty, but probably completely fine. I decided that this front derailleur is just a little bit too rusty to leave alone. So, you know, this here and this here is really bad. So I will remove those. Clean up the bolts, at the very least. I just finished cleaning up the crank arm and everything, and yeah, that was a bit of an ordeal. Which way do you go on? First thing I tried with that is taking these bolts off. I used the impact driver. Every time I would get one off, it would get stuck. The bit would get stuck inside of this, and then I need to punch that out, and then the punch would get stuck on this, and so that happened 8 times. Making pretty good progress, but I haven't even touched the hard stuff yet. I just got the cassette off using the cheap chain whip and this device. This is coming off right now. It's a bit cleaner, but feels a little bit crusty. So it's been a little while since I last worked on this bike, and in that time I lost one of the bolts for the handlebars, which is awesome, feels great. And also realized that I had put the forks back together wrong. So I got that fixed today. Still can't find a bolt for this, but I know it's not a big problem yet, but another setback. And so far I have got the back brake working better. So cleaned up the pads and the disc is cleaned. And now I refilled the oil as well and got that working much better than it was. Like, it actually springs back quite well. So that's great. And now I'm going to work on the front brake, and I figured I would film that. So try to get you a close-up of the pads. They are, you know, pretty dirty looking and like rusty all around basically. But the back one's cleaned up really easily just with some sandpaper, and I used isopropyl alcohol, and also the clip is just a little bit of surface rust, no big deal. Okay, so 220 grit sandpaper, you can see the residue that came off of the last pair of brake pads. So I'm just going to repeat the process here. One more. And that is basically, call it good. One more. And now I'm just going to kind of wash them off here. I'm not worried about contaminating the brakes or anything like that because, well, one, my hands are so dry from the isopropyl alcohol that I'm not going to, I assume. But, you know, I'm not trying to like get these perfectly tuned. I'm going from brakes that didn't work at all to, you know, acceptable. It's not, you know, not racing or anything like that. So it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. It just, as I get these closer and closer to clean, I'm going to be holding them with the paper towel and being a little more careful. Yeah, they are really tight. These are all tight, plus they have Loctite on them. So basically just wet sanding this with, instead of WD-40, we're using isopropyl alcohol, just so that there's no sort of residue of oil on this, because you don't want oil on disc brakes, because it makes them slide, makes them slippery. Oil everywhere else on the bike. As I'm scrubbing these, I'm periodically wiping off with paper towel. Isopropyl alcohol dries really quickly, so you kind of want to do the sanding, then wipe it off quickly, so you just have this, all that gray residue, particles of rust and dirt and steel, like getting wiped away instead of drying onto it and staying there. As I'm putting this disc back on, the only thing I'm kind of doing here is going alternating, sort of star pattern. It's lined, the ProMax logo is lined up with the wheels logo and also the valve stem. The brake calipers seem like not damaged or anything on the inside. I did need to sort of pry the brakes apart with a screwdriver, push these pistons back in. I think this one's actually not pushed in all the way, but I am going to clean inside with some isopropyl alcohol and some Q-tips. It honestly feels kind of weird putting on like the wheels now. Like, oh, this bike is almost completely done, and it's been taking up space in my apartment for months now. Now the problem with these brakes right now is that there's not enough fluid to push the brakes back into the normal position. It does stop the wheel fine, but when I release, and if I was trying to go forward again, you can hear the brakes kind of sliding around. And I know that I set them correctly a few minutes ago. So after some messing around, these levers are basically, or at least the front one is basically where it was before. It's lazy, it's not coming back. And even getting the wheel back on was kind of tricky. So there's two things from a little bit of research that I think it could be. So I'm pretty sure this retaining clip is in right. Oh, no, it wasn't. So the retaining clip on the brake was loose. It's not coming back immediately still. Any rubbing is very, very slight right now. And I don't think it's alignment, so I think there's still a problem. So one, user error. Two, I think there is a problem with the piston. I think I showed you that earlier, that one of the pistons looked like it wasn't pushed all the way in. So I take the wheel off, take the pads out, gently push the levers so I can see the pistons moving. I'm pushing, but it's not actually moving. So the good news is I got all the fluid drained, and bad news is I need to actually take this apart. I actually didn't want to drain the fluid. So, piston, and this is like where the oil flows through. That's the bleed port, and this connects the hose on the one side to both pistons through this. So there's a seal there that connects on there to get the fluid into both sides. As you can see here, this one's sticking out. So, yeah, just gonna work on that for a little bit. All right, so I think this will be the last day of working on this bike. I've got the chain put on, and I already had to put on an extra link because I cut it a little too short, but I think I do need still one more link. So we'll do that now. So it's not like happy to be in big, but it's not getting jammed at least. And you know, in normal riding, you're not supposed to be in that gearing anyways. I finally made it to the other end of this project, and this bike is finished. It is already sold as well. So this was a huge pain in the butt to make this bike rideable again, but I think it was worth the effort in the end. I found a buyer. They came out from Parksville, and they seemed to be really happy with it. I never got the brakes completely perfect the way that I would want it if I was the owner of the bike, but they didn't seem too bothered by it. I think they're okay with riding it for a bit and seeing if it needs any other service, like any bike you buy on Facebook Marketplace. Selling it for $200 is pretty good profit on this. I spent like 20 bucks on a chain and another 23, I think, on a brake bleed kit, which didn't end up having all of the tools and things that I needed to actually get these completely restored. But happy we went through this process, and yeah, hope you've enjoyed the video.